Yo, what's up, guys? This is Chase with the Hanging With Azarian podcast, episode number 6. This time I'm on with my friend Devin as we talk about his photography page, getting into travel videography and photography, a little bit of working at Disney World doing photography for them, and even some Mandalorian Season 2 talk at the very end. So hope you guys enjoy the episode and have a good one. Everyone, this is Devin. Devin, how you doing, man?
You know, pretty good. And I tell you what,
okay.
It is an honor to be on the podcast.
An honor? I don't know.
Honor, man.
Don't stroke the ego like that. It's still in the starting phase, but
That's all right. All right.
I had to bring Devin on because Devin was actually one of the first people I met when I came to Orlando because we were both working for Disney World. We both got in the college program, both got into the photography part of Disney World, and we were in the same training group. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, there's someone here that I like, and they're taking pictures and they're cool. You know, they're not super Disney fanatic or anything.
Yeah.
So it was good to meet somebody normal, I would say.
I didn't say, you guys all went off to, there's a good group that went off to Magic Kingdom, and, I was the only one in the group that I just got, split off into my own thing.
Yeah. You got sent away, and we never saw you, in the working environment.
Yeah, so everyone I got to, know initially is just gone. I was like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Got to meet all new people again.
So, and then we kind of just established a little friendship from here. We did a little Keys trip recently to Keys, Miami. He saw my drone sink into the ocean. Me and Adam talked about that before.
Man.
So we have some experiences together. Devin's a really interesting person in the sense that he runs this really successful Instagram page that looks beautiful. You gotta go check that out for sure. So I kind of just want to pick his brain a bit about that. But first, Devin, what are your overall? I guess we could kind of start with how you got into photography.
Yeah, sure.
When did you get into it, and why did you choose that compared to anything else? What struck the chord with you, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. So photography has always kind of been, it's always kind of been something that I've done. And it started off with just a really shitty Kodak camera. Long time ago, and there's no editing at all. It's just taking pictures, getting stuff printed. And it actually started off with, I was involved when I was younger with, have you ever heard of 4-H or FFA? Farm?
Yeah.
So I was involved in that, and I did along with showing cattle or all of the actual really farm things.
Devin's from Iowa, by the way.
So I also did photography on the side, and that was the thing that initially actually got me taking photos. You know? And from there, I didn't touch it too much. It was just kind of that for that period throughout high school, and I guess middle school, and then high school. I think I took a photography class, which kind of made me focus more on framing things up. Which again, photography classes are tough. I say they're tough because I think you can learn everything in them if you're just passionate about the subject and you get out and start
actually
doing photography
do the work,
on your own. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would argue against that and say that they're really necessary. But for me, I don't think I learned a whole lot in it. And again, I still don't know a lot of photography stuff now, just the different aspects of it. I need to learn a lot more.
I feel that. I started to sidetrack you real quick, though.
Yep.
But I kind of am in the same exact boat of, when I went to film school, for example, when I'm in these film classes, I don't want to say I didn't learn anything because obviously that'd be very arrogant statement, I'd say.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a lot of times where I felt like time was being wasted and it just didn't always have the most practical uses, and I felt like YouTube and actually getting out there and running into a specific problem and learning online how to fix that specific problem is the only way I've ever learned how to do anything video related.
Exactly. Same.
Yeah.
And my one of my roommates throughout college, same way. He's a film student. Went through all the classes and stuff, and every time I talk to him about it, he's like, this is pointless. I already know how to do all this stuff because I've just done it on my own. I don't know why I'm here. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because there are aspects you learn throughout it. You make connections throughout it. So
of course, that's the biggest part of it. For sure.
Yeah, that's the important part.
And then so this was in high school age?
Yeah, this is around the high school age.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to college yet, but high school age was doing photography classes, doing the 4-H FFA photography stuff through that. So it was really just kind of dipping my toes in the water, just getting a feel for photography. Wasn't really doing anything too crazy, trying things out. But the most important part that I learned throughout that period was I got really good. I say really good. Not really good. I just got to know all the Adobe programs, which is good. Hands-on, got to mess around with them, make mistakes, learn from it. And a lot of that carried on because for me, all my photos, and I guess not everyone, but my photos are pretty rough without editing. But I've seen some people do some crazy good photos like that have no edits on them, which blow me away. Mine definitely need edits, really.
But your edits look great though. So
thank you.
Devin's look like, I'm sure you'll check out his Instagram page if you're listening to this. Like, it just feels like I feel like I've been on like where. Well, sometimes I was where you were. Like sometimes we did go on shoots together, but at the same time, I'll see some of your pictures. And I'm like, damn, I feel like this is like a part, like a memory to me. I don't know. It has like this really nostalgic vibe to it that I really like. And is that a style that maybe you found? Like, do you know if you specifically found that style in a specific moment, or was it kind of just, oh, this looks cool?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you go about that process of thinking about a grade for a photo.
Yeah, I didn't really start taking photography too seriously. I say seriously as far as like creating my own editing style until like about like a year and a half ago, like when I actually started that account. And you can tell, like if you look back on that account, you can tell my style changed. So what I started doing initially, I would find like some photographer who had a style and I'd try to mimic it just to learn it, to just get a feel for how they were doing it. And then I would do that for a little bit and then switch to a different photographer. Do that. So you can see my style like switches a little bit kind of earlier on, like on my actual page. And then eventually there reaches a point where you kind of develop your own out of that. Like you hit a point where I'm sure it has its bases in all these other different styles that I've looked at, but it's kind of different on its own. And again, like you could probably compare them and be like, oh, this is pretty close or pretty similar. So it's a lot of browns involved in there, not a ton of like bright colors, not exactly like monotone necessarily, but you see a lot of like oranges, browns.
It's old schoolish,
I guess. And that's kind of what I was shooting for a little bit. A little bit of me wanted to go towards, you've probably seen the photography style of like, it's a lot of like oranges and teals.
It's the go-to combo.
It looks really nice and I like it, but
it's kind of overused at the same time.
That's true. I kind of got away from it just because with the time of day I was taking my photos, how I was taking my photos, I couldn't make that work with my photos really well. But I found that kind of like brown and desaturated look worked really well. Worked really well. And again, like I said, I'm always learning. I'm always changing. So like I'm even noticing my style switching a little bit now. Like I'm pulling more of the oranges out, which I kind of wanted to keep them in there. But honestly, where I'm at right now with that though, I have just like a backlog of thousands of photos that I just need to edit. I just need to get the time to actually sit down and to edit them. So like my photography page has gone on the Wade side a little bit for actual content being posted. There's plenty of pictures that I can post. It's just they need to be edited, and it takes like an hour per picture at least, to edit. Like photography takes so long to actually get good edits out of something. Right.
So coming from video, I have similar experiences of like what you normally see is about like 10% of what you actually shot. So I'm curious, because I probably have a guess as to how many you actually use, but for someone that's not into photography, for example, out of those 1,000 photos, how many do you actually like post to the public, if you had to take a rough guess?
It really kind of varies a little bit on how far I want to push my photos. As far as like photos that I'm really excited about and I'm really happy and confident posting, like 3,
which is crazy.
Like 3 out of that 1,000. I can push it further. I can probably get like, if I really want to, I could probably get like 15, 20 out of that 1,000. They're not all going to be great, but it's really pushing it. But out of that 1,000, and that, again, this, you can scale that up. So if you have 5,000 photos, you can do that exact same thing. And that's kind of where I'm at now. So I just need to go through, and a lot of the shots I've taken, I've already kind of sifted through and pulled out the ones I like. And there's a few still in there that I know I really, really like and I'm really excited to edit. But it's the part where I get to where I'm actually going to hop back in and be like, okay, this photo could work. I need to make it work. I just need to do that. Because I'm not really motivated to do that, unfortunately. And I need to be to keep the account going. But then again, the reason I started the account was to honestly get me out and about in Florida. So I came down here and I knew photography, and I knew I wanted to keep exploring new locations. Every single week I wanted to try to do that. And I did a pretty good job. I haven't done that too much this year. I still have, but I remember when I first started that motto, every weekend I was like heading out to a new place in Florida, which is, I really liked it.
But hey, it gets to do that because I think we have a similar goal of like wanting to travel involved with photos and videos.
Exactly.
And Florida's a great spot, man. Like there's just so much stuff going on, and there's so many different locations. Do you have a favorite spot, or maybe you have a favorite picture from a specific spot in Florida? Like if there's someone in the area that's you're like, oh, you're in Florida, you got to go check out this spot. What is that spot?
Yeah, so in Florida, there's my go-to spot would be, I'm gonna say toss this out there, and again, I may decide this isn't the right one later on, but Anastasia State Park I really like. So Anastasia State Park is out by St. Augustine.
Yeah.
And it's a great 3-mile like stretch of beach that's literally like nobody ever on it. Whenever I go there, there's like 5 people like right in like the kind of the parking lot area where like the actual beach is. But if you like walk down a mile, it's just you and the beach. Super nice. I really like it for photography because it's really cool how, since it's not like a big like public beach that you'd see on, you know, like Clearwater, Cocoa, whatever, they don't run like a lot of like vehicles on it to like crush up shells and stuff. So you get these huge like a shell graveyard, you know, it's like all
sweet,
like huge patches of just crazy shells and stuff. You get a lot of wildlife. Well, I say wildlife, a lot of like birds and stuff that are just chilling on the beach, but like it's a great opportunity for some shots that you don't find on normal beaches. And I've actually pulled a lot of shots from that, and some of my favorite shots are actually from that location. But then again, like I said, it's not for everyone. So for me, when I go out to do photography, I'm getting out. I really like just like exploring, like taking in everything, the environment, just really like being out like within nature. And I can certainly do that for like a couple hours, no problem. But sometimes if you go with somebody, they want to like get out, do one thing, and like hop back in, so they're like done after 15 minutes. So you have to have that mindset going into it. You can't just cop out super easy. Cause like for me, walking like the 3 miles and then taking pictures along the way, like it's a couple hours adds up pretty quick.
And that's what I like about you is Devin. If you don't, well, obviously you might not know him, but like he maximizes time. So when we went to the Keys at Miami, he was very like, hey, I'm doing the research. These are the spots I really want to hit. This is some cool stuff. I was kind of sick, so there were some shoots I wanted to go like snorkeling and everything, and I was like, man, this would have been cool. But I like how you're very like, I consider myself a somewhat organized person, but I feel like you take it to a whole different level, and that's why things look nice. So I guess branching into that, how do you plan a shoot? Like if someone's really trying to get into travel photography, what is your process of, I have this location I want to shoot, like for example Anastasia Park, you find out about it for the first time, how would you go about planning that? Because I'm very curious.
This is funny because I was actually going to ask you the same question about
really?
like, the video side of things too, but I'll hit it up. So and I was even going to mention this too. If you go on a shoot, going to a new location, I always do research, just looking up what other photographers have done through Google searches, through other photographers in the area. Once you start doing photography, you start posting, you start meeting other photographers in the area, seeing what shots they're getting, and maybe you want a similar shot, which is good because it kind of guides you a little bit. And it's also good to get completely original content, which again, even if you do kind of a similar setup, it'll still kind of be your own feel, your own take. But it saves you time in the long run. So that way, instead of spending 3 or 4 days in an area trying to, catch those perfect shots, you can knock it out in a day and get all the shots you want. And I know we experienced this a little bit when we headed out to Ocala National Forest.
Yeah, which is an experience.
We should have done a little bit more research as far as like what the hot areas were for like photography. And again, I think we got some good shots out of it, and it was definitely a good time. I think we could have probably done a little bit more, but that's all right. We ended up on
we also put in GPS Ocala Forest, and me and Devin ended up on this dirt road in the middle of like the actual forest for sure, but we were in the middle of like nowhere, and we were like, well, I guess going to answer my side of it, I plan like edits, but I'm also open to, oh, this thing just popped up, let's do this, because we're in the middle of nowhere. I was like, okay, this is a cool spot to throw the drone up. And one of the shots, even though I messed up the frame rate a bit, I didn't have the ND filter for the drone at the time, one of my favorite shots is Devin walking down this crazy, just like, it doesn't look like Florida at all. The drone goes over you, it's just trees, there's a dirt road, and we're just in the middle of nowhere. And that was like an awesome experience for sure. But we could have probably GPS'd better for that time.
That's okay.
And it didn't have the greatest national forest spots that we're looking for. But I mean, you kind of have to take the trips, and it was still a fun day. So
yeah, that's right. And again, like planning is the huge part of it. So I mean, honestly, like for me, I literally just Google search stuff, trying to figure stuff out, and I'm really bad at this because I want to say I'm like a good planner, but not really, because I'll procrastinate planning because I was like, oh, I got to do this and this instead.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, like the night before, like the morning of, I'm trying to like quick Google stuff, where are the spots to go. So I could do a lot better job of it than I have in the past.
Yeah.
Planning, like the huge part of it. And you're talking about the shots that you're wanting to get, or the shots that you'd like to get. And again, I do the similar thing. Like I was talking with, looking at other photographers and kind of seeing what they've taken in the past. But okay, that's kind of how I go about it, and hitting up those areas. And again, there's so many different areas too. And like I said, I was hitting up an area each week. And for that, you hit up a lot of areas. So a lot of the places I went were just kind of like duds. I thought they were going to be really great spots. Since I am pumping out like a spot every week, is a little tricky to get really good shots every week. So sometimes I go to a spot, take 1,000, 2,000 photos, and not really like any of them,
which is crazy.
But
not a single one.
That happens. And again, like I said, I could probably make one of them work, if I really wanted to, or a couple of them work. But again, they're just sitting on the wayside. How do you keep yourself motivated with doing video stuff that's not necessarily like just like personal video stuff, not necessarily like actually like paid stuff where you're got to get it done by a certain deadline, but just motivating yourself for some of those projects?
I think a lot of it is kind of documenting things. So I think even though I like travel films and making like these really cool edits and super saturated things, I think at the end of the day why I like doing travel videography is like I capture a specific time in my life with very specific people. So I like having videos where I have an LA trip with like my best friends from like my hometown. I have a spring break trip with like my best friends from college. The Florida videos, I got like you, Justin, Adam in there, like people that I spent time with in Florida. And I think I usually I don't know how you feel about photography, but I don't really watch my old videos ever, except for the travel ones. The travel ones are the ones I like to watch, even if they're not good. They're like memories to me, and I like that nostalgic vibe. That's the kind of stuff like years down the line I'm gonna love watching the most. It's the ones I watch every once in a while now, but everything else I make I kind of put on the back burner. It's like once it's done, I'll watch it probably for a day or two, and that's kind of it. And yeah, I don't know if you feel similar to that. Like, how do you cringe at like your old work, or like I feel like most people do, but
I think it's tough not to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Especially for me, my older video work. Like a lot of because I had like a YouTube channel for a while that I kind of paired with the photography stuff, which I've like privated most of the videos for whatever reason. But a lot of the videos, you look back on them and it is helpful because you see the things like, oh, I learned this specific aspect from that project. I think when you go into a project, you pull one or two things out that you've learned throughout that process, which is tough if you want to go into it and make that perfect film because won't ever happen because you keep learning stuff out of it and you keep like not necessarily wanting to redo it, but like for your next video you're gonna definitely not do that one thing you did that one time or whatever it may be, and that's what I see a lot of times. I look back at like my video stuff. Photography, it's tough. I even cringe at some of the photos I like post now because like there's some that like I'll look at that I'm like, all right, this is definitely a little out of focus, but it'll work for Instagram.
It'll work, yeah.
Nobody's gonna notice that on Instagram. If you're actually doing a print of this, you probably wouldn't want it. So I cringe at like some of those things. But overall, though, like I said, I started it up mostly just for me getting out, not necessarily wanting to turn it into a business at all.
Yeah. And
it has that potential. I haven't really pursued it that much. I could have pursued it a lot harder if I wanted to go down that path, but I'm not sure I do. So I'm in a weird limbo right now.
Okay.
Do I want to keep doing what I'm doing and just doing photos whenever I want to? Because it was tough because I was always going against like Instagram's algorithm as far as like trying to post photos, have consistent time frames, certain engagements. That way you could keep building up. And I did really good as like definitely going up is building up. You could see that, you could see the curve. And then I took like a week off or maybe like 2 weeks off because I did something else. And then I tried to like rebuild it and then took another week off and it was tough. So I'm at a point right now where if I do post more, I don't think I'm going to focus as much on like the business side of things and trying to pull engagements and everything that goes along with that. I think it's mostly just going to be posting it because I like the picture and I want to post it, which is good too. I mean, you see a lot of creators starting to switch over to that like later on in life. They're like, all right, I just enjoy doing this. I'm kind of all right with where I am. If you like my stuff, awesome. Where a lot of times earlier off, you're just hustling all the time and trying to get stuff out there. But then again, that's just my experience though too.
Right.
But
no, I mean, I think that's a good point for sure. I mean, I was actually watching a couple videos a couple days ago because I want to rebrand my YouTube channel in 2021 and kind of just start posting videos again because I think building a personal brand for what we do is very important. I like making YouTube videos. I hate how, kind of what you were saying, I kind of hate how we're in a field where we have to kind of be consistently updating our social media presence because I really don't like social media that much. I think it's a great platform to like be seen, and like if we were trying to do this back in the 90s at our age, like there was no one we could share our work to, you know? So I'm very grateful that I could post a video and my friends, I don't have to like show up to their door with the actual film reel and show it to them. But at the same time, it's like, damn, so you're telling me I have to consistently just like, it's almost like a job in itself of, oh, did I post on Instagram this week? No, I gotta do that. You know what I mean? It's a weird...
Yeah.
What's the word? Like, it's a gift or a curse type deal, whatever that.
No, yeah, absolutely.
That makes any sort of sense.
The double-edged sword.
It is the double-edged, that's the better way to put it.
Yeah. And that's one thing I got out of, thankfully, like, I really don't use a lot of social media anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, I removed a lot of my personal accounts, just like deleted, or I removed them off my phone. Because I'm sure you experience it. I experience it a lot. You're just endlessly scrolling, and you're just
wasting time.
You're wasting so much time you could be doing. So like instead of like on lunch breaks or whatever, sometimes I'd hop on social media. Instead, I'm hopping on like Google or something. I'm learning something. Yeah. I have something in mind and I want to learn it. I'm watching a quick YouTube video and like trying to develop that way and to just get better at something, whatever that is. And I think that's a better use of my time. And again, it's tough, but also like I would recommend that to almost anyone too, because like you find yourself, especially like if you go to bed, like, oh, I'm just gonna check my phone quick now, since like an hour and a half later, and it's like, oh, now it's like 1 o'clock or whatever. You know, like it's so much better to just set it aside and to not focus on it. But it's tough if you're building up a personal brand like you, to where you have to kind of keep things going with it and to keep content coming out that's somewhat original to you, you know? Yeah.
No, it's definitely a weird... I feel like everyone's on the same wavelength. It's just everyone has to deal with it personally in a way. Kind of going back to... Because you asked me what motivates me to do personal stuff. Because you obviously could take it to a business full-time thing if you wanted to. Is there something you've, like, maybe you fear that you would lose your love for photography for a bit? Or, because you're obviously super talented at photography, what makes
I wouldn't say that, but...
No, you are, yeah. What is the thing? I don't know how else to put it, because...
And it's tough, too. And the main reason I haven't gone fully down that path and to turn it into some sort of business aspect, which if I were to do that, again, I'd have to get a lot better at what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like, I like my stuff now and I'm happy with it, but it's tough when you compare it to other people that are actually do it like every day as like a business. And then I'd really have to step up my game because it doesn't compare, not even close. But I have so many other interests though, which is difficult because there's a lot of other things I also want to be doing and putting time into. And a lot of it's learning stuff. Like I was talking with a handful of people before. Right now I'm teaching myself like 3D modeling. Like,
you were telling me that before.
So like and to learn the programs and the concepts, like I understand a lot of the fundamentals, but like a lot of it's just learning the new actual program that it runs through, depending on whether you're using Maya or whatever it is. But it's a good challenge, and it's something that I want to keep learning. But again, that takes so much time up that I could be spending into photography or putting into photography. So I don't know if it's a situation to where I'll kind of juggle them, continuing going on, or I'll just eventually cut one off at some point to focus on the other. It's scary, and I don't know what exactly that fine balance will be, you know?
I mean, it's definitely an interesting take, I think, because there's definitely days where I'm like, damn, do I really want to, like, do the business part? Because I think the thing some people think is, like, if you do... Like, for example, for me with video, right? They think I make any video, I'm living my best life. In a way, it is right. Like, I'm always doing something that I feel like I somewhat enjoy. I don't believe in taking a job that I don't want to do. It's just not my thing. But I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. There's definitely certain videos that are way more fun to shoot than others. I'm sure you would feel the same way about, like, photography gigs. Every artist has felt this way where it's like, there's just certain gigs that are more fun than others. And like right now, I'm trying to build up my product portfolio. I think product videos are very fun to shoot. I think there's something cool about. We were just talking about how to organize something. So like with a travel film, I like to think I have a plan, but the travel films are so spontaneous of what's going on that you kind of just have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Whereas something with a product video, it's straight up, all right, what's the idea from your head, and let's execute it. And I think it's really fun. Like I've had DJ come over, and Justin helps me out, and we kind of just. It's a fun time. There's no real like pressure in a way, because it's kind of just, oh, let's try and make this thing look cool. And when you nail it, it's really satisfying. And I'm not going to say that same fun is applied to every single video I've done. I think it just depends on the shoot and who you're working with. So do you think does that ever come into play of like, oh, I could do photography full time for businesses, but then I'm going to start doing jobs I don't like as much, if that makes sense as a question?
Yeah, it could be. And quick tangent, like you guys have been knocking those product videos out of the park. If you haven't already,
Some of them are okay.
like for the listeners, if you haven't already seen them, definitely go watch them.
The whiskey one's great.
Phenomenal. Building up the portfolio. It could be. And that's what I did a little bit of that throughout college. Different like headshot type stuff, because that's like where you can make some pretty quick money with photography, is doing actual like people photography, which I have no desire to do whatsoever.
Okay, right.
I do not like that. Some people really do like it, and I experimented a little bit. Like I did like a series on my Instagram. It was the faces of when Galaxy's Edge opened up.
I remember that, and you were kind of shooting the cast members,
Exactly. I was shooting cast members in Hollywood studios, and it's a really fun one. I got to meet a lot of really cool people that I'm connected with and I've met like throughout other places now, throughout Florida, which is really cool. But for me, that was really awkward for me, because it was like out of my comfort zone to like ask. Like I can usually pick up conversation with somebody, especially when I'm in practice. And COVID kind of threw all that off. So like I've been building that back up. But to take it to like a level where like, oh yeah, can I like take a photo of you, like I'm doing this project and trying to like explain it. It was a little awkward for me. I got pretty comfortable with it later on, but it's not something I want to do for example, like if I was doing like series of like actual like people, I wouldn't want to necessarily do that. And then for like the more business side of it, if it was like actually like portraits or family photos, like whatever, I wouldn't want to do that either. So I'm stuck in a tough spot to where I'm doing maybe like travel videos, maybe like corporate business videos, and I don't mind doing those at all. Again, it's a tough market. It's pretty competitive in that area,
sure.
And I'm sure you've been finding that out as well.
Yeah.
It's not super easy to slide into, and I don't know. I would love to do them, but I don't know if I'm necessarily super passionate about it to really make that big dive into it. And I know you're asking as far as would I come to a point where I was like actually doing stuff I wouldn't like. I mean, if it was kind of within my genre, what I'm promoting, I wouldn't mind it at all. If it's something way off, like I was talking about, like the people photography, I don't think I could do that. That'd be difficult for me.
Okay.
And I feel vice versa for other people, so like people who only do like portraits and stuff like that. I don't think they're, not that they're not very good, but I don't think they really enjoy doing like landscape stuff, nature stuff.
Right.
At least from everyone I've met that's kind of fallen in that category. And again, I'm sure there's people out there who love photography overall and love bouncing back and forth, but mostly somebody kind of like photographer will specify or kind of hone in on like one area and really just focus on that. What about you though, Chase? What's the real question is, what's the roadmap for you? What's the 3-year roadmap?
The 3-year, dude. I'm on like a 10-year roadmap.
Yeah,
I figured it out.
I figured you had a lot planned out.
I mean, 3-year, I guess it would be. I would hope to be traveling, doing travel videos mainly. That's okay. So I like 2 video goals. I guess maybe 3 video goals I have is just have a successful production company where I could kind of just get paid to make videos constantly. I just think it's the best bang for my buck and use of my time. And I just like working with a variety of people. That's the thing. There's not many videos I dislike making. It's more of I've had people where I dislike working with them. I'm not going to act like I'm the most perfect human being ever, but I could tolerate enough and I could deal with a good amount of people, but if there's someone that's super cocky and super, I need it this way only, and they're just an asshole,
Yeah.
I don't like dealing with those types of people. So it's more from that perspective. So that, make my own travel films in the way of stuff like the Florida video. If I could get paid to travel the world and make stuff like that, obviously it's got to be better than the Florida video, but just trying to build myself up to getting to that level would be awesome. That would be a dream come true, especially for like my 20s, where I don't have a family to worry about. I don't have all these responsibilities holding me down yet in life.
Exactly. It's a perfect time for that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like you got to do it now while you can type deal. And the third would be make my own feature films eventually. I think a lot of people go to film school thinking they can make a feature film right out of film school, which is I'm also from the perspective of I want to self-fund my first one. I don't need a studio to do it. I just realistically know I need to build up just money in general. And I think the way I would enjoy building up money the most would be doing videos I like doing on the side, and I'm going to learn something new from every single video I make that'll help make that feature film good eventually. I think that's a decent enough plan. I've thought about it enough where...
What types of feature films would you want to go into? Like, what would be kind of your genre, or like what you can be pursuing?
I want to try every genre, man.
Everything, just hit it all up.
Every single genre. I have like the first 4-ish films I'd probably want to make, and they're all slightly different from each other. And I don't know. I don't think there's any genre I would necessarily dislike making. I don't think there's any genre I would go head over heels for making. I think just a good movie is a good movie, and there's stories to be told in every genre, and I'm very cool with it. So what does your roadmap look like? I know...
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, what would be like the dream scenario within the next 5 years for Devin?
Win the lottery and retire.
Yeah,
but I'd have to play the lottery first to go down that roadmap. But no, I've kind of been figuring this out and trying to establish what that roadmap is. I kind of have a general idea what I want to go into, and I know what I'm passionate about. My core main focus will probably be with business or something with marketing, just because that's what I've focused on. I did pretty good throughout school, throughout college, is kind of what I focused on as well. And I know that doesn't always correlate with like the job or career that you actually end up finding. So I don't know if it would be sort of an entrepreneurship route I would go down. So for example, 5-year roadmap. At this point, let's see, what year is 2020?
It's about to be 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
So let's say it's 2026.
Okay,
so
yeah.
2026. I see myself probably back in the Midwest, I would say.
Okay.
Whether I own a business back there or doing some sort of management type of role. And I know that's not super exciting. It's not super creative, for example, like the photography route I could go down. But I also balance in the, what's the most likely and the most stable to actually, and I think that's good too. So I look at like the stability of it, which allows me to do all these other things I like photography, or like I said, I just learned in the 3D modeling, or all those other things too. Whereas if I were to just go into one area, photography, and I know you asked about this a little bit before, if I turned it into a job, if I'd end up hating it, or if there's any aspects of it. And I kind of answered with depending on what it was, but the more I think about it, if I start doing it as a job every day, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much as I do now.
Right.
Now that I'm kind of thinking about it more. So I think it would probably be better if I set myself up in a role to where I go to my 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever, and then weekends or afternoons, whatever, that's where I'm going out exploring, doing video stuff, doing photography stuff. And again, I say this now like I have any idea what I'm talking about. This could all change next month, next year. Who knows what happens? There's
world
so
ends.
much crazy stuff that could veer that off into one direction or the other. But I think I'd want to head back to the Midwest area. That's kind of where my family's from. You had mentioned I was from Iowa. And it would be good to be back in that area, especially as, like family's getting older. I have some nieces now that I haven't even seen because of COVID. I've been down in Florida. But I will say I've been thinking about this a lot because it's really nice right now and it's December.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
I
no
love
snow.
the hot weather down here.
There's like 80-degree weather. I can't complain. And that is going to be very tough to leave. But yeah, I hope to do, and I'm always striving towards some creative aspect, something that, kind of, leave a legacy or, you know, like write your name in the book sort of thing. I don't know what that is yet. Whether that's a photography project I work with somebody on, I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I want to do things like that. Just because I enjoy them, I don't necessarily like want to like leave a legacy. I mean, that's kind of a weird thing to say. I guess everyone probably wants to leave some sort of legacy. But I just want to work on a really unique project that I can really appreciate and respect even when I'm older, look back on it, which is sometimes tough because currently, like, a lot of the projects and different things I've worked on now, I've looked back on, I haven't been super excited with or super like happy with, or, oh, I wish I would have done this differently. And again, it's probably sort of the creative mind. I don't know, you probably have that as well. You look back on, or I guess you said you don't try not to watch too many of your old videos. I'm sure you kind of get in that mindset of not like nitpicking your old videos, I guess, compared to what you know now.
No, 100%. I think there's a lot of stuff I look back on and I'm like, I still haven't made a project where I've made videos that I like a lot in the moment because it's way better than what I've done 5 years ago. I was just watching my first short film and I was like, man, this was trash. Yeah. But it makes me feel good that it's like, okay, I haven't been wasting my time. You know what I mean? Like, I've naturally just gotten better at this. And I think talent is something, it's a real thing, but it's something that's super overrated. And like, the more hours you put into something, you will become good at it. But one thing you brought up that I found interesting was there was a part of me multiple times where I was like, if I keep doing these videos I don't like, am I going to hate it? And that's why I started being more selective with videos I wanted to get into. And as opposed to saying I'm a videographer that does everything, I was like, okay, let me really narrow down what I like to do. Attack that first, and then if there's clients not coming in that specific thing for a little bit, let me try and do some things that I don't love as much, but I could still do. Now, we both worked at Disney World, and you were saying you don't like taking pictures of people, and we could talk about this a little bit because we both don't work there anymore. But one thing I found very interesting for all the photographers that worked at Disney World, there were a lot of them that would say, I just don't want to take pictures or do video on my days off because this is all I'm doing all damn day for Disney, for Mickey Mouse. So, I mean, I don't want to put any words in your mouth at all, but do you think maybe you worked at Disney World for a bit, saw what it was like taking pictures of people all day, you're like, maybe I don't want to do this every single day, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I could have probably, and again, I think I had that kind of figured out before I started up at Disney. It's tough with Disney because, like, you're doing photography, but you're not really doing photography.
Yeah.
It's very guided, and it has to be. I mean, for that situation, what they're wanting to do, produce a consistent photo, it has to be really, really focused and guided. But then again, for like some of the people, and again, I would hear that all the time. People would be like, I don't want to do photography in my free time. Yeah. Like for me, when I was doing photography outside of work, I felt like I was actually doing photography.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, essentially all you're doing is you're just framing stuff up, and as long as you get good frames up and get good interactions, you got it down. But that's such a fraction of what photography actually is. But then again, like, I struggled a lot too with, since I don't do a lot of people photography, I would always, and maybe you did too, I'd get into grooves where I was like working and I would kind of have the same interaction over and over again. Just because like I knew this, like this set of interaction, or like this set of interaction, what I would actually say and how I'd interact with people, I knew it worked. So I kept repeating that over and over again instead of changing it up. I don't know if you ever found yourself getting in a groove like that where you just felt like you're doing the same thing over and over again, or if you tried to switch it up, keep it fresh to kind of, I don't know, make your days go by a little bit quicker, or...
Well, I really enjoyed working at Disney World a lot, actually. Not necessarily, like, taking pictures at Disney World's a fun gig overall. It definitely has its problems, and I think there's a whole discussion to be had on this. There's definitely negatives, but overall, my overall experience was positive. It was a very fun job. I loved the people. The people I worked with at Magic Kingdom were awesome. Like, that entire cast of people was great. But I wasn't really like a Disney, like when people say Disney person, I wouldn't really put myself in that category. Like, I'm not a Disney fanatic, you know. It's just never really been my thing. But I did think moving down here and being able to work in the biggest tourist destination in the world and say I took pictures there when I was 22, 23 when I was working there, that's an awesome gig. Like, that's an awesome story to me. So I did it, and I took the approach of just kind of breaking out of my shell. I was pretty much like a comedian out there, bro. Like, I was messing with families. I hated taking pictures with, like, the characters. Like, if you don't know, what we do is basically we were the people out in the parks taking pictures of families, and the picture you get in front of the castle, that was us. So, like, we were taking that picture. And when I was taking pictures of the families in front of, like, icons like that, awesome. Loved it. When I was taking pictures with Mickey Mouse, I could not stand it because it sounds weird, but it was almost like I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want this family, like, I don't want to interrupt this 3-year-old meeting Mickey Mouse for the first time. Like, I don't think it's in my place to, like, be cracking jokes in that moment, you know? It's kinda,
That's true.
It's kind of like I want the kid and the family to enjoy this moment, you know, and I'll just take the picture. I just hated getting those assignments. So I don't know how you felt about any of that aspect of it. Yeah.
I was kind of the opposite. So
really,
and I think
okay.
I think what it might be based on, like, kind of like how you recharge your batteries. You know,
Okay.
like, for me, I need, like, not necessarily quiet time, but, like, where I'm not talking to kind of, like, recharge. So when I would get those things where I'd be working with characters, when I'd get that assignment, I'd really like it because I could have been outside for the past 3 hours on an assignment and just, like, needed to kind of, like, reset before I went back to it instead of doing that same thing. And I think I got kind of in the groove, like you were saying, really comfortable cracking jokes. I think I got that way when I was, like, getting, like, really tired, which is weird because then I just get a lot more, like, I say loose with what I say, and obviously that you could take that in a bad way, but don't take that in a bad way. But a lot more casual stuff, where if I wasn't that way, I was focusing on so many other things that I couldn't really enjoy it that much. But yeah, oh man, the other part why I liked working with characters is, at least for us, is usually a lot of inside assignments. And I spent...
Get that AC in the Florida summers.
Yeah, so I probably spent... I would say probably 95% of my assignments were outside.
Yeah.
Which I was like, as soon as I got that opportunity, I was like, definitely going in. Like, I need this quick break in the AC. But I definitely get with what you're saying. I mean, you don't really get an interaction too much with them. It's mostly just the character. But I think for me, I think I enjoyed some of those a little bit more.
Okay.
And it might be the aspect, too, of that you're working with coworkers as well, so you can kind of play off each other, because I'm sure you've encountered families where they're just not hitting anything back to you. You're tossing a lot of stuff out, but you're not getting anything back.
They're just soaking it in.
Exactly. And thankfully, like, if you're working with characters, sometimes you can hop to, you know, like, if there's another photographer next to you with another character or a character attendant, you can, like, play off of them too, which helps a little bit. If you're not getting anything back, which again, I say that, like, that doesn't happen a whole lot, but I think I enjoyed the character aspect a little bit more, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
Well, I think most people did that I worked with. Like, people thought I was crazy for wanting to be on, like, the main street of Magic Kingdom doing it. But
there's something special about that, though, too.
There is, yeah. It was my favorite place to be. Like, all 3 assignments, put me there 10 hours for the day. That's where I wanted to be. I don't know. I was just like, I was never like, go have a magical day. No, I wasn't that fucking guy. Yeah, I was definitely the, yo, what's up, family? How we doing? Oh, the teenage 16-year-old kid that doesn't want to be here. Let me make him do the embarrassing magic shot, like hold this balloon. There was just some shit, man, that I don't know if cursing around Disney World is okay, but I did curse on the job a couple times, actually, by accident. There was one family, I forget what, I was so tired. It was like Halloween party season, so it's like 1:15 in the morning. And, like, I'm out of it, and I just, like, hit my head on, like, my camera, and I was just like, oh, fuck. And it was, and it was like this, but it was like this newly engaged couple behind me, and they were just cracking up. Like, they didn't really care or anything. And, I had a couple of moments. I actually had do you know about my trifecta of, my trilogy of disabled stories?
Well, I don't think I've heard this.
Oh, shit.
Now I'm curious. I got to hear about this.
It's bad.
Okay. Man.
So, you could interrupt at any point if you've had a situation like this. I just happen to have had 3 of them. So, the first one, this is like day 6 on the job, bro. Okay, so I have this family come up to me, and I want to say they were probably Brazilian. A lot of Brazilian people come to Disney World, which you'll learn really fucking quickly. And they don't know a lick of English, any of it, which is fine. I'm going to talk with my hands. I'm going to explain what you got to do. But I always gave people, if you don't know, Disney World does like these magic shots where they really kind of shittily animate something in somebody's hand. Like, Disney, you got so much money. You announced 10 Star Wars shows, 10 Marvel shows. You got the money to do some better graphics for sure. So but I liked posing people that way because they was always like, what are we doing? And it made it more fun than just getting the normal photo. And I didn't want to give them something where they didn't know it was there. I wanted them to actively be doing it because it makes it more fun. So I'm trying to get this dad to put his hand up to put the balloons was my go-to. Balloons. You put balloons. You put your hand up, and it's right there. And I'm trying to get the dad to do it, and he's looking at his family. He's kind of sweating a little bit, and I'm like, "No, it's easy. You just put your hand up like this." I'm trying to explain to him, and he's looking at his family. He's like talking in Portuguese, and they don't know what to say. And I'm like, "No, it's easy. Like you just go like this," and he's still not having it. And I'm like, no, you just go like this. This man takes his hand out, and he's got no hand, bro.
No.
It's just a deformed thing with like kind of 1.5 fingers.
That's tough. That's tough.
And my entire line of families behind me just is. Some are laughing, some are like, "Oh my fucking god, he just did that!" Yeah. And I was stunned, and I was like, "You know what, man? You could use your other hand. The other hand's gonna work just fine." So he was like, oh, "Okay," put the hand out. His family's talking to him. I was like, oh, that's rough. That'll never happen again. Fast forward a couple months, and I'm at Liberty Square Bridge. Okay, it's a spot that's pretty hidden. Like, it's not a busy spot. So
that's what for location is that is it more towards like the Haunted Mansion that side?
Yeah, it's like, but it's still by the castle, so it's not like when people are looking for that front photographer. Yeah, there's a bridge, and I'm over there, kind of chilling. And this family of like 13 comes up, bro. And it's like they all got the matching shirt or whatever, and there's a kid in the stroller that's asleep. And anytime there's a kid that's in the stroller, I usually tell families to like do a shh sign at the kid because they think it's a cute photo for like when the kid grows up, it's the embarrassing photo for them.
For sure.
So I'm like, all right, everyone go like shh to the kid. Nobody does it. There's 13 of them. Not a single soul is shushing the kid.
Tough crowd.
It's because grandma 2 seconds later goes, he's deaf. So I was almost trying to pose them to shush the deaf kid, which was not a good Disney look. Yeah. So that was bad.
That's only number 2?
That was number 2, yeah.
Okay.
2 was the most awkward I thought of. Nah, maybe the first one was awkward. 3rd, it was Christmas week, so I guess this time last year.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, Disney World Christmas week, you're pumping them out. Absolutely pumping them out.
It gets packed.
It gets super packed. It is unbelievable on this Main Street area. And when I tell you I'm cranking out like it felt like 4 families a minute, and they're all still getting this magic shot with the balloons because I was like, I'm going to give it to you, I'm giving them all these magic shots. I'm cranking through them, so it's just super fast paced. And I'm at a really packed spot. There's people flying everywhere. You can't really hear anything. 3 Brazilian ladies come up. I pose them. I'm like, do this. Like, kind of tell, because you have to scream over all these people because it's so chaotic.
And you're on Main Street too, right?
Yeah, this is Main.
Man, you're like shoulder to shoulder.
This is a madhouse. So I'm trying to be like, do this. I'm doing it visually, and they're looking like they're panicking, kind of like the first situation again. And I'm like, no, you just do this. And like they're still panicking, they're sweating a little bit, and I'm like, just do this. And then the 2 other ladies go, she's blind. I was like, what? So I was trying to explain to the blind lady how to put her hand up. So I was like, all right. Fuck me, I guess, because no one else has stories like this. Yeah. And Disney World was a good time. I don't know if you have anything like that.
I was trying to think if I have. I don't think I have a lot of stuff like that. There's some awkward stuff. My stories are more like the very first day we were on our own, I got reported to guest relations. Like, the very first
I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember that you texted our group chat.
Yeah, so I get it's just stuff like that happens to me. So I didn't have necessarily stories like yours, but it's just different weird things. And just Epcot was interesting too. And it was funny, you mentioned, and again, hop to the Brazilian side of things. It was I think June. I think that's when all the Brazilians come because I think that's their holiday.
Tour groups.
The tour groups exactly. This one I say she's Brazilian. I assume she's Brazilian. Just there's a lot of Brazilian people like during that time, and they're all kind of wearing the same things. But like things just get really casual. This isn't the part where this is a separate story from me getting recorded.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying at Epcot you would see that like I saw this way too many times where you just see a Brazilian like some lady just no shirt on, nothing, just.
Well, Epcot. You get drunk people, which is why I want to ask you,
too.
What, like, how is that? Because Magic Kingdom, there's no alcohol sold unless you're in a restaurant.
It's actually pretty good for the alcohol. It honestly, it made pictures so much more enjoyable.
I believe it. Yeah, like how many people were hammered coming up to you a day?
It depends. On Food and wine got pretty crazy. Okay. But I never had any like bad like drunks. Thankfully, like there's a couple like maybe not so patient people, but overall, a really great experience. I don't know if it was the year I was there or if the people were telling me. There was some guy I know during Food and Wine. He tried climbing up the stairs on the temple.
Wasn't he in photopass?
The guy who tried that?
Or maybe this was two different
Maybe
people.
this was another.
I thought I was told someone that was a CP, which means like intern, I guess, in normal people terms for Disney, tried to do it. But wasn't it a soccer player or something too?
I don't remember. I just
tried to climb it.
I just remembered. Yeah, he just tried to climb up the temple in Mexico. Like they got like a big Mexican temple. He tried to climb up there.
I would just pay money to just like be the photographer there and just snap a pic, send it back to base.
That'd be a pretty good one. I did have a story where I chucked a snake. So
you chucked a snake.
So there's this.
What? What you mean?
This is towards the end of the day. Okay. I was at Epcot. I was behind the big spaceship Earth, which is the big ball. Yeah. So I was in between that and the part where you switched off to like all the countries. And we have like 2 photographers there. Usually, and again, this has all changed since Epcot's under construction, and those spots probably won't exist anymore. But for a while, I was always closing that back spot, so it was starting to get dark. Then the helper would come out, or the coordinator would come out, close down one photographer, then go help close down the other photographer to end the day. And they close down the one photographer, they disappear. So I'm on my own right now, doing photos. And all of a sudden, this lady comes up to me. She goes, "Sir," she goes, "You need to come." I was like, "Oh man," and I'm thinking like, "What's going on? Like, is somebody hurt? What's happening?" So I was kind of hesitant at first. She's like, "Sir, you need to come now." And Disney rules you have to have like, you don't want to leave your camera unattended, otherwise you'd probably get a lot of flack back
for it.
So I was like, all right, lady, all right. So I strapped my camera up to my harness or whatever, take it off my tripod because it was dark enough. I had that out, and I was like, "What's going on?" As I'm walking over, she goes, "Sir, there's a snake." I was like. Okay, well, what am I going to do? I'm a photographer now, but what's going on right now? Like, I'm not the person to tell. But she goes, "There's a snake." She like points to it, and there's a snake on the ground. I'm not talking. This wasn't like a anaconda or anything. This is like a smaller snake. And I'm like, okay. She goes, "Were you going to do something about it?" It's like, and at this point, I like had enough. And like, it's funny because I had a family waiting right behind me, like in line right as this lady came up. So I was like, all right, I'll be right with you guys. Really sorry. Be right back with you guys. And hop over there. I was like, I just had it for the day. I reached out and grabbed the snake. I just chuck it
by
back.
The hand.
Yeah, I just grabbed it by the hand and chuck it back into the lake at Epcot. And I did. It wasn't the main. There's like a small lake that connects to the main one. That's a little bit closer to Future World. And I chucked it back into that one. And
I couldn't imagine being a random person walking and seeing a Disney employee just chucking a snake.
The lady just like speechless. She's like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe you just did that. And then like I was like, all right, we're all good. I just head back and I like set up, and like I said, it was like, it might have been like a little sassy because I was like, you got to be kidding me, like you can't hit me with this right now. Like I just want to go home at this point. And it was literally like it's like minutes away from going home. I get hit that, and I go back, and like the one family that I had told I'd be right back, they're just like, they start laughing a little bit, like, what the lady expect you to do? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, we're kind of surprised you did that, but I was like,
hey, that's the Iowa in you, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really like snakes too much, but like I have a lot of stories like that though. So not the trifecta like yours, but just other crazy.
Nah, I wish I threw a snake in a lake though.
Crazy stuff that happens. God, I'm trying to think of some other stuff, but honestly, like there's a lot of fun moments. Yeah, stuff that happens.
It was a great chapter of my life. I couldn't make it. I don't think I could do a full book there, but
nope, that'd be tough. There's some people that do it, and it takes a certain type of person to stick with it and to keep doing it, and that's awesome if that's what they love doing. It is
for a very specific type of person, I think, and for that type of person, it's the best job. It's still like overall the coolest job I've ever had, so can't complain about that.
Yeah,
but
really,
I mean. Shit, like the fourth family I ever took a family of, it was a proposal, you know what I mean? Like, that's just cool.
That's what I was going to ask about, the proposals on Main Street. Did you have to shoot a lot? Because, like, I could count on one hand the number of, like, big things I shot. Like, not many, but, like, Main Street, like, somebody'd be like, oh, yeah, I had 3 today. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes.
I had a day where I did 2. I never had 3 in one day.
2 is a lot.
2 is a lot, I guess.
It's a little stressful, too, because it's...
I thought it would be stressful, but when you get to the point where you're doing, like, 2-3 proposals a week, you're like, oh, okay, it's cool.
You got it down.
Hey, you got this guy. Yeah, you go do your thing. I'll go get the pictures. So
they always tell you last second too. It's always like they're going up to take the picture, and all of a sudden like the mom or somebody's like, oh yeah, by the way, they're going to propose. And you're like,
yeah,
oh okay.
And you're on your tripod. It's dark, and you're on they like Disney has like tripod settings, so it's like if you move the camera slightly, your shit's blurred. So you're like, what you mean you're gonna propose in the dark right now? Like what?
I had one that did it. I was standing practically underneath Spaceship Earth because this was when they started construction, so they switched up locations. Terrible spot, and I was like, and I even like told him, I was like, you know, this is a really bad spot. I'm like, yeah, but that's all we have right now. I was like, okay, that's fine. I was like, I don't mind it. And then this family comes up and they're like, oh yeah, he's doing a proposal. I was like, here? Why? Like there's like the construction fences in the background, and I was like, this is the worst spot. Like, let's go somewhere else, please.
And they still did it.
Like, yeah, and like I mentioned, I was like, because the mom told me as they're going up to do the proposal, or like one of the, I assume it's like a mom. This is a lady. I was like, wait, they're doing it here? Like, are you sure you want the spot? I'm like, yeah, they're going. I was like, okay. And then afterwards, I was like, all right, you guys probably want to get better pictures. And like, I gave them the spots. Like, go to these areas. You're going to get way better pictures.
Exactly. Stage
like,
a little bit better.
We're like under Spaceship Earth, so there's no way you could get the whole thing in.
Yeah.
Like with the spot.
Just an awkward.
It was so bad.
People do that all the time. Bro, I actually do have a wild proposal story. Not a wild proposal story. I was just so fucking baffled with this one. So Disney has like these Halloween parties for people that don't know. And people dress up to these parties. So I get put, this is the beginning of my shift. I'm at a weird angle of the castle, and this family comes up to me. They're not dressed up. Everyone else is dressed up. It's like this dude in a Star Wars shirt and cargo shorts, and like this girl and their family. And I kind of ruined the punchline, I guess, inevitably by saying what this story is, but this dude just has his shoe off. And I'm like, I was like, bro, you gonna put your shoe on? He's like, no. I was like, nah. Disney has this weird rule too, where you have to be wearing shoes too, that's its own thing, I guess. I wasn't even doing it for that.
I forgot about that rule. Yeah,
exactly.
I remember.
I wasn't even doing it for that. Like, I didn't really care about that kind of stuff. I was kind of just, bro, like you're holding your shoe, like that's kind of just whack for a picture. And he like pulls the ring out of the shoe, and the girl's like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Yeah, I was like, "This is the weirdest shit I've ever." Like, and I would just see shit like that on the regular. Like that was definitely the weirdest one I had.
And the ring in the shoe.
Yeah, and the cool thing about working the job too was when you'd go on break and talking about people like, "Oh, how was your last gig?" I could just be like, oh, yeah, someone just proposed out of their shoe, I guess. And people would be like, oh, really? Like, I just had this family do this, you know? You would just have, like, these crazy stories. Like, I got sneezed on by a little girl, and there was just a fat booger on me. Yeah, like, I've seen some things in my Disney time, but overall, it was just
There's a lot of stories. It's a lot of stories that, like, I'm glad we started talking about this, because a lot of stories I, like, completely forgot until it got brought up, and I was like, oh, yeah, like, this happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a cool job. Yeah,
it is.
It's something I would recommend people doing for like a college program, like a short specific amount of time. Yeah, it was a good time. Move on to bigger and better things.
That's true.
I mean, speaking of Disney, we could talk about real quick because we were talking a little bit of Mandalorian real quick. Because me and Jake actually had a full episode about why we thought Disney was ruining movies for a bit, and then literally a day later, Jake was like, yeah, you know they're going to announce, like, a Marvel show, a Star Wars show, a Marvel show, and then, like, literally the next day, Disney had, like, their investor day, and they just announced, like, oh, we're making 10 fucking Star Wars shows and stuff like that. And then Mandalorian wrapped up. I was saying it could and should be better, and the last 2 episodes, they stepped up to their game, and I'm really hoping they don't tease me again where it's like, okay, I don't know how you feel about Mandalorian overall, but I kind of wanted to take a more narrative approach of like where each episode kind of matters more to each other as opposed to like its own individual story overall. I just think I would be I get why they do the Saturday morning kind of style, but I think I would like it more if it went down that route. But how do you feel overall about the show?
I definitely, that's what I've heard a lot with people, that people have been split with how it's set up, that some people would really wish it'd be just one big narrative that they're actually like describing, going on about. I really like the aspect that there is kind of just separated segments that don't really have anything to do with the overarching story, but there's a lot of like character development, and the best part about Star Wars is just the universe. So hot take, but all the movies are garbage. They're pretty rough.
You think all of them? Even like the originals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I don't enjoy them, not that I don't watch them, but like if you compare them to like good films, it's very tough. And they have they have such big budgets where they have the opportunity to do so many things right. Yeah. And they do so many things wrong. And again, like I said, probably gonna get a lot of flack on that one. Like, sure, I do like them. There's definitely like a place for them, and I do like enjoy them, watch them. But like when I'm comparing them, I'm actually like
relatively to I love the original trilogy and like the episode 3. Actually, that's kind of it.
That's all right. That's all right.
And that's kind of it. Yeah, I mean, like me and Jake had this whole thing, so I won't go too in depth. But I really did not like what Disney did with the new trilogy. I thought it was just they didn't have a plan, and it showed. And Mandalorian was kind of almost like a safe bet, but kind of like what you were saying. I think Star Wars, like, I'm not really a science fiction or fantasy guy, but there's certain universes that always, I think, hook the culture for a specific reason. Like Game of Thrones hooked people for a certain reason because it was this side of fantasy that everyone could get into because it was political and there was family drama, but then there was also like these ice zombies that were coming in and dragons. Like it just had a lot going on. I think Star Wars has a world that has potential for a ton of different stories, and they announced 10 shows, which is a lot of shows.
It's a lot.
And I'm kind of, at first I was like, this is crazy how they announced all this stuff. And I'm not really like a Marvel fan. I'm not into like the superhero stuff. But at the same time, kind of like we were saying with the Star Wars universe, if I get like 2 or 3 shows that I'm super into out of, like, I won't care about the other 7, but it's like, that'll be a cool thing. So
I think Star Wars is actually set up better for a TV show type of like media format, because again, as I was saying, like you have these really cool stories and these unique people that you can go out and explore the worlds instead of going all in on one character. And with what they did with this trilogy, I mean, like the new trilogy, it's a copy of like the old one, like but it's just worse.
It's just way worse.
Yeah. And I want to clarify, I don't like, again, I don't hate any of them. There's definitely some really bad ones, and then like the original trilogy, I think the original trilogy is pretty good. Like it's really nostalgic when you go back to it. But it's such a cool universe where you can tell, like I said, those small stories, and that's what I'm really looking forward to with these TV shows that they're doing. That's why I enjoyed The Mandalorian, because you did kind of have an overarching main story, and honestly, now that you mention that, they didn't really touch upon that main story a whole lot throughout the 2 seasons. Yeah, like, there's like key episodes,
which is why I wasn't huge on it.
I get what you're saying, for sure. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited for the new stuff to come out. And again, I'm not a huge Marvel fan, so I don't know if I'm going to be as excited for those TV shows. Maybe I'll watch them. Probably not. It depends.
It's like if it's on, maybe I'll watch a couple episodes. I'm just not like into the Marvel movies like that. But season 2 finale was we were just talking about it. Maybe a little spoiler. Actually, real quick before we get to a little spoiler territory, in case there's someone out there that really wants to watch Mandalorian, is there any Star Wars show? Like, did you see all the stuff that they announced? Like, did you look at the titles? Of the 10 things they announced, like, was there any? I
heard of most of them. I don't think any
was there anything that you were excited to see?
I don't think I'm really not like super excited. Like, oh, I'm gonna watch this one first.
Okay.
I'm just like, oh, cool, they got new content coming out.
Okay.
I think you have to. With Star Wars, you have to take a step back. You can't be too in. If you're too into it, you're gonna hate everything they release.
I agree on that.
You're gonna hate everything they release. So I've tried to like remove myself so that way I watch it. Like, I enjoy this. Like, or like this is, even with the Mandalorian. There's a few episodes where I was like, this is pretty bad dialogue, or this is really weird, and it just kind of went against like the nitty gritty of the Mandalorian. It felt more like
cartoony.
Yeah, exactly. There's something relating to like the trilogy where it's like, yay, we all cheer now, yeah. But it's like really cheesy. But I hope they kind of take more of the grittier approach in their new stuff, because it's just a little bit more interesting. And I mean, it's a TV show about a big war, so I mean,
exactly.
It probably should be
see some war stuff.
Yeah, it probably should be a little grittier.
Yeah.
But what was announced? Do you want to cover that? Just a few off the top of your head.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big thing was the Obi-Wan Kenobi show has been a thing for a while. So kids our age grew up with the prequels. That's really cool that they're bringing Hayden Christensen back for Darth Vader.
Who's your favorite prequel character?
Probably Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought he was always cool growing up. Like, I don't know, Ewan McGregor killed that role.
He did a good job.
I really always fucked with Mace Windu too. Samuel L. Jackson.
Cool. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy's the boy growing up. So I've been intrigued by the Kenobi show, and just the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, I think this is gonna be good. I like how it's a limited series.
They're bringing back Hayden Christensen, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I heard that, and I was like, I don't know if that's actually official.
Yeah,
but I think they
he's coming back as Darth Vader, and I was like, you know what? I like how it's only gonna be one season. So
is that all they're doing?
Yeah. So to me, that speaks more of like maybe why Mandalorian's not my favorite, even though I enjoy aspects of Mandalorian. I think I like how this is gonna be one season, so I feel like every episode's gonna matter to each other, and it's more what I'm looking for. So I'm excited for that. There's one I was reading about all these because like which ones am I actually gonna be into? There's one called The Acolyte, which is it's the director of this Netflix show called Russian Doll. I don't know if you know anything about it.
No,
I haven't watched it. But the people whose opinions I trust the most in film and television are like, you have to watch Russian Doll. Like, it's the craziest
thing. It's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to check that out. She's in charge of the show, and it's in a completely new era. Like, it's way before, like, the Luke Skywalker and even Anakin Skywalker
I think I know.
stuff.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like the Old Republic stuff, and there's like hundreds of Jedi, hundreds of Sith, crazy stuff, and it follows the perspective of a Sith, like a villain. And I was like, yeah, and I was
I didn't hear about that one. This is exciting.
Yeah, that to me is something I'm like, okay, you're doing something original with the universe that we were just talking. So that to me, I'm like, okay, this sounds sweet. Those are the two I'm most excited for. I don't know how you feel about Kenobi or even like that other one. But
I think I'm excited. I'm actually. And again, I'll probably watch all of them just to watch them. Even if I hear like, oh, don't watch it, it's bad, I'll probably still go through and watch it. I'm excited for one. It was I'm trying to think of the name of it. I watched like the behind the scenes like kind of announcement for it. It's the character in Rogue One. He's the spy.
What's the actor's name? Yeah. I forget the character's name. I know who you're talking about. The spy dude.
Yep.
He was in Y Tu Mama Tambien. Have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen that one.
The guy, Alfonso Cuarón. Check it out, man. It's the guy that made Children, Men, and Gravity, and Roma is like one of his first movies. It's unbelievable. Yeah,
man.
I know you're a film guy. You gotta check it out. Yeah.
I say I'm excited for that one because I feel like that one's gonna be kind of grittier again, and I think it's gonna be just a better TV show, just with like how it'll. I don't know. I'm just excited about it. I like the grittier Star Wars aspects. It feels more I don't know how to relate it.
It's more
similar to like
worry for you, I guess. Worry's not really a word, but
yeah, similar to like the feeling you get with like the Joker. Like it just feels real. It doesn't feel like it feels like
more grounded.
Exactly, more
even
grounded.
Though it's still in space.
Exactly, even though it's fantasy and there's aliens and stuff, it's like, all right, now like it's this guy. He's struggling. He's doing this thing.
Well, because also they kind of take out like all the superpowers basically with the Force and stuff, and there's no light swords. It's more just. Oh, okay, like, this is what we're doing, like, in an actual war setting.
Yeah. Say Cassian Andor, that's the name.
Had to change that light real quick, but yeah, the Andor guy. And I didn't even Google it, I promise, but I think the guy's name's Diego Luna. I think that's the actor's name.
I think that sounds right.
Okay.
That sounds right.
I mean, I wasn't the biggest, I wanted to like Rogue One, wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I like the idea of...
There's some weird stuff that happened in it that, like, kind of disconnected me.
Yeah.
The part that I enjoyed the most was... There's like some really cool nostalgia parts where they brought back like certain things. It's like I like that because it wasn't like they brought back this main character from one of the other ones. It's like, all right, these guys are like are like some of the like original people or like old people, like the old ones. Like they play like side roles, but they're back in this, and like I don't know, I really like that feeling.
Yeah, no,
it focused,
it's cool to re-explore them in
exactly
in a different lens.
Yeah, and it wasn't focused like on them. It's just like, oh, you have like this quick cameo that you're making, like so you still feel grounded and it still feels familiar, but it's also new. It's a new story that is focusing on.
Yeah, they announced a Rogue Squadron movie that's kind of similar. It's just gonna be pilots, and it's Patty Jenkins, the lady that made Wonder Woman, that passed the Wonder Woman movie. Yeah. So I'm intrigued by it. That's something I felt like maybe I would have preferred a show for something like that. I kind of like
this
the idea.
This is a whole movie, you said.
This is a movie, yeah. I kind of like. I think because Disney really, I feel like just they bought Star Wars and they just went full on like we're making these movies, and I think the idea because they announced like a Lando show, they probably looking back probably want to make like Solo and Rogue One like a show, maybe not Rogue One, but they probably want Solo to be like a show now as opposed to its own thing.
I could see that,
and I kind of like how maybe keeping the movies as like these more singular epics, like doesn't have to be related to like Skywalker stuff, but kind of keeping that to its own thing, and then something like Rogue Squadron keeping it a show. Like I said, I'm still intrigued because Patty Jenkins I think has some pretty good talent, but it's kind of like the thing we were saying, how it feels more gritty. It's like they're just the best pilots in the galaxy. Like yeah, that sounds like almost like a Top Gun, type scenario. Exactly. So that could be cool.
Are all these planned to come out like within the next couple of years, or what was their time frame for their announcements?
I think everything they announced is within a 3 to 4 year.
That's a lot of content coming out.
That's a lot of content. Yeah, I think the movie's 2023. I think that's the last thing that's supposed to come out, and everything else is going to be like in between.
So yeah, they probably won't announce another big trilogy until later down the line.
They're probably waiting for people to get. I feel like a lot of people really got. Didn't really trust Disney after the new movies, and I think this is their way of being like, hey, we have plans now. Let's get you comfortable with all these shows, get you liking them, and then let's announce like another trilogy. I think that's their move. I think that's the best move they could make.
Yeah.
Because even someone like me, like, man, I watched the last couple Mandalorian episodes. I'm like, you know what? I'm into Star Wars again. And that's a good feeling. So we were talking, if you haven't watched Mandalorian, the past 2 seasons, I'd recommend giving it a shot if like you're into Star Wars. If you're not into Star Wars, I don't know if you're gonna like it as much.
Even sci-fi, because it's a space western.
Yeah,
there's just like western. Like there's a lot of things that just feel like like old timey that like are different genres than what like sci-fi and Star Wars is, which is really cool that they can kind of combine them together.
Exactly, and I'm not gonna say it's like the best show on TV, but the way season 2 ends, it has me intrigued as to what season 3 could be, and I think everyone's gonna be talking about it. So if you haven't watched it, probably go check it out. So at that point, we're gonna talk spoilers for the last episode of Mandalorian. I think that'll be a good.
I think that's a good ending point.
Yeah,
to end there. The disclaimer.
Yeah. So this is spoiler territory. You've been warned. You can turn off now. Okay, Luke Skywalker comes out, and that shit was. Me and Devin were just talking about this. Devin's not as big of a fan, but
I hated it.
You hated it. Okay,
I hated it.
Okay. Why did you hate it? Because I'll talk about why I liked it in a bit.
At first, so they showed like an X-wing coming in, which immediately I was thinking, I was like, they're definitely not bringing back Luke Skywalker. But like,
I immediately knew when that happened, it's Luke Skywalker.
You think so? I say because like my mind jumped to Luke, but I go, no way they'd bring back Luke Skywalker, because they got there's other Jedi that they've had in other series, like Ezra, for example, is in Rebels. Like they could easily add him to this because he's alive during this time, and they mentioned Thrawn with Ahsoka.
Right.
Like
this is the type of thing I usually do YouTube research on, because I kind of skip the animated shows. I watched a bit of the Clone Wars when I was a kid, but I
haven't seen all of them either. I've seen bits and pieces, but I just hear stuff from them. But like, they had a perfect setup to transition into like including some of those characters in and like flowing it, and then like the X-Wing comes in, there's a Jedi, and I was like, okay, and still at first is like, it's not Luke, but it's like it's got to be, because it's got like all the telltale signs, like his belt, like he's got the glove on because he doesn't have a hand, like that sort of thing, and I was like, oh man, please don't let it be Luke. And then like at the point where like I'm already confident, I was like, it's Luke, and like he hasn't like revealed yet, and then like he reveals, and that was the other part. I wasn't crazy about what he looked like, because like initially when he took it off, like I wasn't like, oh, Luke Skywalker. I was like, that looks like Luke, but is that supposed to be Luke? Like I don't know, it threw me off a little bit.
That's the thing I didn't like about. I think that's the thing most people agree on, is the CGIing people to make them look how they used to is still. It's not fleshed out.
No.
It's gonna be scary when it is fully fleshed out. It's kind of scary now. Like, it's almost like one of those things. If you took a screen grab of it and just it was a still image, I think it looks really impressive. Mm-hmm. But when you put it in motion and it's trying to line up with the dialogue, it looks really weird.
How did they do it? Did they do like full CGI? Or did they do like this technology they did, I guess, with
Sam
Rogue One?
Jackson?
Or did they do like a deep fake sort of thing?
I didn't do too much research, but they put in the credits Mark Hamill, so I don't know if they brought Mark Hamill on set and did what they did with Sam Jackson, kind of just de-aged his face. But
interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know if they would. I didn't look too much into how they actually did it, but. Yeah. I was someone in Rogue One, I hated how they did the Tarkin and Princess Leia. I was like, this looks... especially because it was right after Carrie Fisher died. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. So that is the aspect I definitely agree with you on. That looked weird. I thought it was... Because I think we can kind of talk about, from a storytelling perspective... fan service is kind of this weird thing where maybe the reason I was never into the Marvel movies was because I feel like a lot of the Marvel things, what people like about them is the moments where it's like, yeah, for the fans, this is sweet, where I'm someone that doesn't know a damn thing about a comic book, so every time there was like an after credit scene, like Marvel movies, it's like you have to stay for the after credits. You gotta find out what's gonna happen next. And I'd sit and I'd watch, and people would freak out, and I'm kind of like, okay, can someone like I have to go to Google to explain,
same
to explain like what this means. Whereas like Star Wars, like it was my thing as a kid, and it was like, okay, this is cool. I could kind of get the satisfaction of what Marvel people feel. Mm-hmm. The reason I like the Luke Skywalker thing was because I feel like we were actually talking a couple weeks ago. Me, Adam, and Jake, I was like, they could bring him in because this is only like Mandalorian's 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so it could in a way be a sequel to it. And the reason I'm cool with it is because it made sense in the story
it
does because they talk about how he started his own temple, he's like training Jedi, like okay, like it's not like he just showed up to save the day and dipped. It makes sense from a storytelling perspective. Two, one cool thing is, I'll be honest, with those old movies with the limited effects at the time, you never got to see Luke Skywalker take on people and kind of just do badass shit.
That's true. It was always like a one-on-one situation.
It was a one-on-one situation, and they were limited with what they could do. And here he's just going full-on, like kind of like the Rogue One scene with Darth Vader, just like tearing down. And I like how they made him robots too, so because he couldn't be like killing people like that. It had to be like a robot, and he's just taking them out. That was cool to see. And I don't know, I felt like the CGI thing, if they were going to do their own like Luke show or he was going to have a bigger role, I feel like they would have recasted him.
Yeah,
or if they are going to if they are going to do it, I feel like they are going to recast somebody to do it. And if it's just like for that one scene to advance the story, like if Luke Skywalker was going to come into the show, I feel like you couldn't have done it any other way, which is why I'm cool with it. And I like how season 2, because most shows like Game of Thrones or even Mandalorian season 1 ends on a cliffhanger.
It does.
Season 2, you could argue, is a cliffhanger, but it's almost like
it could be a wrap up, because I didn't know if there was going to be season 3, and I go, they could have ended it there, but it's like there's still a lot of loose ends that weren't tied up. But it's like I could see where they would just be like, okay, we're done, and then we go on to the next show.
It's a weird thing where it is where there's plot points that you can branch off of, but it's not like a clarified like, oh, this is what the next season is going to be like. They imply things will happen, but another cool thing that happened with that was we had a little post-credit scene with the Mandalorian and there's this debate as of right now if they say it's the Book of Boba Fett, if that's going to be the actual Mandalorian season 3 or if that's going to be its own show because it's supposed to come out at the same time. I kind of like the idea of the because another complaint I kind of had with Jake was I feel like I like the character of the Mandalorian himself, I guess, whatever his real name is, I forget.
I don't know what it is. It's not easy to say.
Everyone just calls him the Mandalorian, but I was like, he's a really cool side. Like, I feel like if he was the number 2 or number 3 guy on the show, I would love him way more because he'd be like, oh yeah, he's doing something badass. But making him the main character, I kind of got a little bored of him. I like the idea of the Mandalorian being these like books, like each season's its own book and it follows a new character. And if season 3 was following Boba Fett, I'm cool with
That could
either.
be good, yeah.
Yeah, but if season 3 was following Boba Fett and like that whole story, I think that would be like a cool way to branch out Star Wars without having another show. You know what I mean? It's kind of like fitting more storylines in one show. I don't know how you feel about that.
And now that you said that, and I'm thinking about it, I think they will, because I think that could certainly be what's happening. I mean, it could just be this character, and he's kind of like on the side, but it's still the Mandalorian, because without Grogu, you're right, the Mandalorian's kind of a boring character. Like, now that
Baby Yoda's his thing, man.
Now that I'm thinking to it, like, is the first episode's like, wow, like, this is cool, Mandalorian, but like, I don't think about it, like, if he didn't have Baby Yoda, I don't think it would be. It's just tough, because you can't really connect that closely with.
That's what made the connection. Was like him with a kid.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I haven't looked too far into the Boba Fett thing. I think what kind of your idea, I could see them doing that. I could also see. I don't know if I could see them. Have they announced a Boba Fett show besides at the end of that? Has anything else been said?
They kept it a secret because they wanted people to have that effect of like, what is it? Another show? Because they wanted to make a Boba Fett movie years ago. I remember, and I guess this is their way of. Kind of like how we were saying, they want to, before they announce a new trilogy, they want to get people comfortable before they announce that. I feel like they did the same thing where they're like, let's give them a show not about Boba Fett, a similar character, get them comfortable, introduce Boba Fett in the actual season, and then be like, okay, here you go. And plus, another thing with that is if Act 3 or Book 3 is Boba Fett, maybe Book 4 is like whoever that girl is with the dark lightsaber.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they haven't wrapped that up yet. Because right now the Mandalorian, he has the dark saber. He's got it. And they like mentioned it, like that was like a big issue at the end, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, everyone forgot about it, and then it's like ends. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought they would have wrapped that up, but apparently not, though.
Like I said, that is a cliffhanger, but it's almost like it wasn't like they drew swords together at the end. It was like, oh, I gotta wait a year. It was kind of like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a conflict, which will be cool. But yeah, maybe season 4 is about her, and that's how they go about Mandalorian. I think that'd be a cool way to do it. And then they said there's 2 other shows in the timeline. Like they have the Ahsoka show coming, and they got another one's called like something of the New Republic or something.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna look into this. Man, I didn't even know there were so many. Like I knew there's like a handful. I knew the names of them, but I didn't know. Like you're alerting me to some new ones I didn't even know about.
Okay, yeah. There's some that like connect to each other, which is why I was like, you know what? Let me do some research. Let me find out about this. A lot of it sounds really cool. And yeah, I'm excited to be a Star Wars fan again. I don't know what else to say. That feels nice to say. They're kind of taking the. I tried to recently get into the Marvel Netflix shows, like the Daredevil and that stuff, as a Stairmaster. Like when I'm doing cardio, if I'm on a Stairmaster, I would try to put it on for a bit and watch those because some people like them.
How do you like them? Like, do you get into them or?
I watched 10 minutes of Daredevil and I was like, I need to. This is too hard. I got to bust out this cardio. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really a superhero guy, but I felt like if I was going to watch the Marvel Netflix things, that'd probably be the best way for me to do it, just to bang it out while I was doing cardio, but it didn't seem like the best option yet. But it seems like Disney's trying to do the same thing with Star Wars.
I think it'll be, and again, for their fans, I think they'll love it. I'm not a big Marvel person either. I don't... Honestly, I hate to say it, but I might not watch the TV shows unless there's like a really good one people are raving about. Like the movies, I kind of like, so that way I kind of stay up to date with what's happening. You know, it's tough because and again, superhero fans are gonna hate me, but I feel like it's kind of like the same movie over and over again.
I'm 100% the same page with you. Yeah,
and again, it's a little bit different, but like whenever I go into it, I can like tell you exactly what's going to happen because it's the same thing that's happened in this previous one, the one before that. And like you said, there's a lot of fan service, and I hate that, like, you have to watch 20 movies before you watch Infinity War.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a lot of build up. It's a lot of build up. But, and again, like, overall, like, taking a step back, I enjoyed them. But, like, when you take one step in, there's a lot of stuff you can get into. That. Yeah, a lot of stuff you can get into. But
Disney, they're pumping stuff out. We'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see, like, a year or two from now what they're doing.
I was going to get rid of Disney Plus, too, but this might make me keep it.
Hey,
I think
me and Jake were saying we were like, this has been out for a year. They released 2 seasons of Mandalorian. That's it. And then they bam. They were like, we heard all of you. Yeah, we had to get the data, and
are they gonna stuff coming? Are they gonna hit a point to like where Netflix, where they're producing so much content now that they're like losing money just to keep content coming out?
I want to say maybe not because it's Disney. Like, well, Disney definitely took a hit during the pandemic. That's why I got fired. So, I mean, we'll see. I think the entire entertainment industry in general is going to be in a different spot 3 years from now. But I mean, Disney, there's people that have some knowledge in the world. It's got to be the company that owns like every single studio now. So
yeah, I'm getting excited for the movie releases on streaming services. And honestly, like, COVID kind of forced that, but I think that's going to be kind of a regular thing now. Like, it's going to be like a really like niche thing. It's going to be like a drive-in theater sort of thing to go to the theater and watch a movie.
Yeah,
like
for like the big event movies, you'll probably like want to go out and everything else.
Exactly,
home.
exactly. Yeah. But like, for example, I just heard they're like Pixar's releasing Soul on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to see it, but I probably wouldn't see it in theaters. But like, it's streaming. I was like, I'll definitely watch it.
You're one click away. You don't have to get in your car or anything.
Exactly. But again, there's that nostalgia factor now. Like, I kind of want to be back in the theater for like certain films, but I know not everyone's in that mindset. Some people just like to sit back and be chill, but there's something special about it though.
And it'll be cool because like the people that want to go to the movie theaters are gonna be the people that probably don't go on their phone or anything. It's gonna be people that like want to actually go.
That's true.
And I think theaters will kind of be around. It'll be for very big movies only though. So we'll see how it goes. Devin, we've been talking for a minute, man. I try and aim to do an hour. We did it over an hour, but it was a great conversation, so I'm happy it was with you, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad to be on here. And we talked about some good stuff. Started off some photography, hopped into Disney, and wrapped it up with some
spoiler talk. Yeah.
Exactly, the spoilers.
So if you stuck around for spoilers and you're still here, Devin, where can we find you at, man? What's your photography Instagram?
Yeah, photography Instagram. It's going to be Devin Benish Photography on Instagram. I do have like other things as well, but just go there. That's where I post all my content. I link up other things, but my following is on Instagram right now. But yeah, go there for the latest photos, and that way I'll be forced to do some edits and to post some more.
There you go. That's what it's about right there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching our faces. Appreciate it. If you're listening and you didn't know there was YouTube, there is YouTube. You can watch our faces. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to be on the go, everywhere you can download a podcast, it'll be there. Make
sure to submit your request for introductions, though.
Yeah, for sure.
We got it. We have to figure out a set introduction.
Well, we're getting to this. I don't know what my introduction's ever going to be, but my outro.
Oh,
well, here's the twist. The outro is I always ask the guest what my outro should be.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So, Devin, what should my outro be?
What have some other people done for outros?
Everyone's different. They got some people imitate me. Some people do their own thing.
I don't know. You're putting a lot of pressure on me. I'm not sure.
Yeah. First thing that comes to your head. 3, 2, 1.
Catch you next week. That's so bad.